Shut it. Shh. Nope. 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 I'm gonna punch you. Don't touch the tripod. Don't touch it. So you know that thing when you're a kid where you're supposed to rub your stomach and pat your head at the same time? Well, I thought of a far more difficult task, and that's spitting into the same toilet you're currently pissing in. Women have the unfair advantage of being much closer to the target, but for guys, it's a totally different, far more difficult task with terrible consequences. I've culled from my Twitter, email, and YouTube comments several questions that I intend to answer today. And the first one I'm going to address is right here. Why are you black? Off to just a great start. This was actually the hardest question to answer because it turns out I was wrong the whole time. I thought it had something to do with the presence of melanin in my skin, but Matt was nice enough to clue me into the truth, which was in fact AIDS. I'm black because of AIDS. So thank him for your education the next time you see him. If you could still do stunts despite the broken leg, what would you do for your next video? I'd roll myself down a hill in a wheelchair, or a paved road, because then hopefully I would go under a truck and break a bone on the other side of my body, because I'd really like to even this ratio out. If you had to do a stand-up show right now, what would be your opening joke? I'm just going to say the first thing that popped into my head, which is, seems like there's a lot of Jews in here. What is the stupidest thing you've ever done? Oh, I don't know, maybe trying to skateboard home at 3 in the morning with a really heavy backpack and breaking my fucking leg in half! What is the weirdest thing you've done with MattG124? Alright, one time, and I'm not proud of this, but we touched wieners. It was dark, and I thought I was the only one in the room at the time. I wanted to eat a hot dog off of a hot dog. To make a long story short, I grabbed the wrong hot dog. If you could live anywhere besides Canada, where would you live? Probably North Korea, because if there's one thing totalitarian governments are good for, it's getting me out of having to do things with my friends when I don't really want to see them. Hey Jay, we were thinking about going to the park. We were wondering if you were interested in coming with us. No, sorry, I can't do that. The dictator has some hard manual labor lined up for me today. Yeah, I'm swamped. And you know what, since I have you here, tomorrow's no good either. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that salt's not going to mine itself. Have you broken any bones or bad injuries? If so, tell us some stories. You know, I've been doing stunts for a long time. Almost 10 full years now, I think. And in that entire span, I don't think I've even come close to breaking a bone before. I certainly haven't had any serious injuries. I don't know, maybe it's because I drank a lot of milk as a kid, had a lot of calcium in my diet. But yeah, no, all my bones are totally fine. I've never broken a single bone, ever. I don't think I've ever broken a bone. Yeah, I've never broken a bone. Somebody asked me what race I am, and I'm not sure, but I think if I had to choose, I would pick 5K. Or whatever marathon Lance Armstrong runs, because if he can do all of that with just one testicle, then I could probably beat him at it with my mammoth nuts. Do fish ever get thirsty? We're asking the real questions now. Do fish ever get thirsty? Does a narcoleptic ever get tired? Does Stephen Hawking's ass get numb from being constantly seated? Does Michael J. Fox get the jitters after drinking coffee? Come along with me while we explore life's greatest mysteries. Will you ever play Thanatophobia again? I beat it. It's over. Have you ever tried to eat food that you've already eaten? You can't. It's shit now. That's not fun. If you could wish for something and it couldn't benefit you or anyone you know, what would you wish for and why? My knee-jerk response was to wish for exploding babies. Like every child up to a certain age has a decent chance to violently erupt into a cloud of blood and organs all over their parent or guardian. But then I realized that that benefits everyone because it keeps the population in check while also being very fun to watch. So on second thought, I'd wish for just 1 billion trapdoors to appear all over the earth. So nobody could walk more than 10 feet without running the risk of falling into a deep hole. That way, the entertainment factor is given a counterbalance by the fear of falling into one myself. What's your favorite melee weapon? Mr. Saturn. And if you don't get that joke, I don't know what you're doing here. He doesn't even care about what game he's in. He just lands and walks back and forth on the platform, angrily bumping into things until somebody's inconsiderate enough to pick him up and throw him at somebody else for basically no damage. But my favorite across the whole series is probably the sea urchin because it's the most passive-aggressive weapon in any of the games. You put it down and you smack it around a bit and it becomes a manifestation of all your anger. Then you go somewhere far away, and if someone you hate comes close enough to it, they instantly become painfully aware of everything that you've done just to spite them. What's it like trying to take a shower with your broken leg? It's kind of like trying to milk a cow with your mouth. You're in this awkward position, it's super inefficient, nothing productive gets done, and by the end you're just wet and everything's a mess. Somebody was nice enough to inform me that when a bone is healing, it's important not to drink a lot of caffeine because it prevents the absorption of calcium. Wish I'd known that a month ago. Are there any stunts you wouldn't do? I'd never put my wiener in a mousetrap. Unless there was money involved. Not money in the mousetrap. I don't want wiener mousetrap money. If you could replace any body part with a robotic limb, what would you choose? Why do so many of these questions end up having to do with my wiener in my head? How do Canadians mosh? Well, if it's different, it's probably much nicer. How are you this evening? Excuse me! Would you like a beverage? How long did it take you to learn to normally walk on crutches? Not very long. I had a full week to teach myself before my surgery even took place because apparently the surgeon didn't think my bone was important enough to warrant an immediate repair. So I had a lot of practice ensuring that while I was walking, the two pieces of my leg that were separated wouldn't jiggle up against each other. The really fun part, however, came immediately after my surgery, when I told the nurses that I didn't require crutch training because I'd already been using them for a full 7 days, and they decided that I needed to prove that to them by walking to the bathroom and back with enough morphine in my system to put a horse to sleep forever. For those of you who haven't tried to walk on crutches when you don't even know where your feet are, it's a very interesting experience and I would recommend it to anyone. If you had an alcoholic beverage named after you, what would it be made up of? There's this wine with a Spanish name, which in English means black cat, and mine would be kind of like that, only after crushing and fermenting the grapes, I just piss right in it. Like I take my stuff and I put it in the bottle, and I just go to town. Call it Black Man. Call it Black Man's Piss. If you could punch anyone in the face, who would you punch? Hitler! I'd cave his nose into his face so that he had to wear a prosthesis like Michael Jackson, and then run up during one of his speeches and just snatch that shit right off. It's really difficult to take someone seriously when they don't have a nose. You just want to stick your finger right in there. How do hippos mate? Carefully. What's the most amount of pain you've been in after a stunt? There's a video of me swimming in a fountain to music, and I think I'd have to pick that one. But it was emotional pain, because I got in trouble afterwards, and I don't like being yelled at. If a dog barks at you, what do you do? I usually yell really affectionate things back at it. You're so cute! How could something so fluffy be so angry with me? Somebody asked if I have any fears. Just one. Elevators. You don't get as far as I have in life without a healthy fear of being stuck in a box. Just ask anyone who's been buried alive. Oh wait, you can't. And I hear you saying, but Jay, elevators are statistically harmless. Well, tell that to the guy who in 1999 got stuck in one for 41 straight hours, which I'm sure was terrible for him, but it would have been even worse for me since after about 10 minutes of waiting, I would have given up all hope of rescue, resigned to living in an elevator for the rest of my life, and promptly shit in my pants. Being stuck in a 4 square foot box would probably be difficult enough, let alone having to do it while wallowing in your own feces. So no thank you. And now that I can see the low battery life flashing on my camera, it's time to conclude the video. I hope you enjoyed the answers to the questions you asked, and if I didn't get to yours, try again next time, because there probably will be a next time. And now I'm just gonna sit here behind my logo, wait for my camera to die.